Welcome to Coach, a global community for coaching mastery.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Coach, Global Community for Coaching Mastery podcast. This is the podcast where we dive into what it really takes to be a masterful coach. What is it like to coach with a professional coach? And what it really takes to be a masterful coach. And every episode, we bring you an interview with very, very special people who have been coached, who are coaching, who coach leaders, high achievers, mothers, heroes, everyday people, so that we can together create a better world. Now, today I'm super excited to have a very, very deep conversation. And to be honest, I have so many questions already lined up, and hopefully this interview will serve you to get to know our next guest and to honestly learn from her experience. So we have Zarina Abdushukurova, who is a member of Coach, professional coach, and she's a leadership, career acceleration, and confidence coach. Now, Zarina is no ordinary coach. She has over a decade experience as an HR executive. And this is very interesting because I'd really like to learn more about what made you take the leap from HR to coaching, and also to learn more about your career journey, Zarina. If you were to introduce yourself, because I didn't do it justice, your experience is so wide and ranges on different, industries and activities. What, just if you were to introduce yourself, please go ahead.
Thank you so much, Leo. Thank you. And it is such a pleasure for me to be here with you today. Thank you for having me. So yes, I'm Zarina. I'm originally from Tajikistan. It's a picturesque mountainous country in Central Asia. I now live in Canada with my beloved family, with my husband and three wonderful, incredible children. And who am I? Well, I'm a dreamer. I'm a lifelong learner, and I'm a life enthusiast. That's how I can describe myself. I believe in the power of kindness, courage, and dreams. And I also believe in magic. And I'm so absolutely thrilled that I'm able to embrace the art of magic through coaching. This is how I look at coaching. So yes, I'm a leadership, career acceleration, and confidence coach with over 15 years of leadership experience, including 20 years experience with my 20-year career with multinationals. I specialize, and I absolutely love it. I work with leaders, new and aspiring leaders, and also career professionals to help them overcome self-doubt, self-criticism, and regain their confidence in their leadership abilities that allows them then to navigate and to accelerate their careers. So yeah, this is about me.
Yeah, wow. There's so much in there, but I'm mostly curious about miracles. And here's the question, because I know you work with leaders. And to be honest, the leadership world is all about getting things done. So we think, right? Because
Right.
leaders lead teams and they are appointed mainly in organizations to get things done. So, from your experience, I'm curious this connection between leadership and miracles.
Yeah, and it is a wonderful question. And it brings me right to the heart of my mission that I see as my mission. I live from my heart, and through my coaching, I inspire leaders to lead from their heart. So as you mentioned, in the organizations, we're all about achieving results.
Yeah.
And that means that the majority of leaders, they are leading from their heads, meaning that they use mainly logic, data, and rational decision making.
Yeah.
These are the principles that guide their leadership. And it is not to say that this is bad
Yeah.
or wrong, no way. But what I am hoping to bring to the world of leadership with my coaching is also a blend of heart-led leadership, where leaders utilize their people skills and abilities, where they are able to empathize with their employees, to bring empathy, to build authentic connections with their employees, to care for their employees. And I truly believe that through a blend of rationale, logic, and data, and on the other hand, using empathy, caring for employees as human beings, and building trustful connections with your team, I truly believe that this is where the magic happens, where the leader is able to deliver on the company objectives, and at the same time do it in such a way that the team that the leader is leading feels inspired, motivated, engaged.
Yeah, those are golden words, Zarina. And you know, I'm curious about your experience. So I'll ask a lot of questions about your background, right? So you have this incredible experience. You have served as an HR director for many years. Now, you call it magic when a leader leads from the heart. Can you maybe give us an example, or what happens when leaders don't lead from the heart? You've probably seen that in your extensive career, right? As an HR executive.
Yes.
What happens? So because you know, people might say there's so much talk now about leading from the heart that it kind of becomes trivial and people don't take it seriously, I think. And they're like, discard it maybe. So can you give us maybe an example where you saw the opposite and the price that was paid?
Oh, yes, absolutely. So, yeah, many examples come to my head, but the one that I can pick is, well, I had a client who was talking about a leader, their leader, that was absolutely brilliant leader, but that was driving and making great strategic decisions, but at what cost, right? The cost was that the team was really stressed because the leader put a lot of pressure on the team. The leader did not care about personal circumstances in the lives of the team members. And the leader was just pushing for the results. And this is what typically happens, right?
So what? So people, a leader would say, so
Yeah,
what's the big deal? I was delivering.
that's right. They are delivering.
Yeah.
And then we see that the team of that leader becomes disengaged, demotivated. They take sick leaves, for example, right? They tend to not put all of their potential into the work that they are doing. They do it just for the tick mark, you know? And the leader also then is only concerned about the results, which is again good, but that connection with the team, there is no this connection with the team. And I want to highlight this connection with the team because you know what? It's really, we don't bring just part of us to work, right? We cannot separate ourselves in the work environment from ourselves in our personal lives. We are who we are, and it is extremely difficult to be normal and present in your work when something bad is happening in your life, right? And so when the leader does not notice, you know, these nuances that happen in the lives of their team members, then team members become demotivated. They can leave the team, right? That's one of the things that can happen. They can take sick leave. So the leader then encounters the challenge of having to replace a team member, or the challenge of having to constantly follow up with a team member about whether the work is done or not done. So these are some of the consequences that I see.
Yeah, it's so interesting how even so. I guess the biggest, let's say, stumbling block is the measurement, right? Because we can measure results, but how do we measure human connection, for example? So as a professional coach, as an HR executive, and we'll come back to that because I'm curious what made you make that leap to coaching. How would you say, having had that experience, can we measure human connection in the team? How can we measure the impact of a leader who does the work and who starts leading from the heart?
Yeah, and immediately again, an example from my life comes to mind. You're very right, it is very hard to measure something that's not so tangible as human connection. However, what I've seen and I've observed in my practice and in my working world is that when the leader is leading from the heart or blending the approaches, right? Using rationale and logic to make strategic decisions, and at the same time, cares for the people. Basically, leading from the heart means caring for your people and seeing human beings in your people, not just the employees that deliver the work results for you, right? So when this is really happening and the leader truly cares for the team, you can see that the team are willing to go above and beyond for the leader. For example, they are willing to work extra hours to deliver on the project. They are more cooperating between themselves, which again gives fruitful results, because more cooperation, more ideas, diverse ideas, less conflict on the team, less friction with the leader. The leader has the confidence of the team, right? The team trusts the leader. So all of this makes a very psychologically safe and inspiring environment for the team.
Yeah, yeah. You know what I love about what you're saying is that since we talk about leaders and coaching leaders, we often see the side of the leader that they have to bring to the team. But what you said something about something important is that leadership is a two-way lane, because when the leader is leading from the heart, when the leader has the capacity to connect to their heart, then in turn the team supports them back. The team creates the safety for the leader as well. It just blows my mind, because there's all the talk in town about what leaders should do, but then we never speak about how a team who's really loved, supported, and guided by their leader pays their leader back, supports their leader back, creates that safety, that certainty when the leader needs it most.
Yes, absolutely. It is a two-way lane, as you said. It's a relationship between the leader and the team, right? And of course, when the leader is giving so much in role modeling, empathy, role modeling, caring for people in the team, of course, the team gives it back to the leader. And this is a harmonized, I think, relationship, right? That then blossoms, and it is so beneficial for the organization, because such a team where people feel safe and the leader and the team are connected together, the leader is there to support the team, and then the team is there to support the leader. Of course, it yields wonderful results for the organization.
Wow. Well, I just love that yin and yang between support leader supporting the team and the team supporting the leader, because that's such a, because at the end of the day, when, okay, so if we break it down, a leader is a human being
Absolutely. Yes.
with extra responsibilities. I heard once this saying, that leadership is not a natural act. Because generally leaders, we ask them to be so selfless, but at the end of the day, they are human beings, right? And
Yeah.
as you, as a coach, as the leadership coach, you come in and you help them. And I just want to, in your bio, you said that you are supporting leaders to address challenges like the imposter syndrome, self-doubt, fear of judgment from colleagues, team-related issues. So I'm curious, what does a leader, so let's say a leader who recognizes that they're facing, he or she facing certain challenges with their team, how do you help them identify what is their main, let's say, saboteur from this list? What is your process look like a little bit?
Yeah. So I want to start answering that question with just saying that I'm an example of a person who experienced a very rapid career growth, right? So in my work experience, I had a very rapid career growth, and I became a leader very fast, right? So, and I want to highlight that this transition from the individual contributor to a leader is not an easy step to take, as you mentioned, right? It does not come, leadership skills and abilities, they do not come just like that, they do not come with a title. And so having said that, I remember the statistics that I recently read about that 60% of managers reported having zero management training when they became leaders and managers. So all of that to say is that I know from personal experience what difficulties and internal struggles new leaders and leaders, even seasoned leaders, they face when they transition to this leadership role or they continue working. This transition carries significant responsibility for the team. So the new skills that have to be learned, and the third part is delivering on the company objectives. So in that situation, a leader might think, they come to me with a problem. They say, Zarina, I have like a mess of thoughts in my head. And because of this mess of thoughts, they cannot untangle what's right, what's wrong, what's important, what's not important for them. And so they start doubting their leadership abilities. They start questioning their experience, even previous experience. And so so they have such thoughts of self-doubt, like, am I a good leader?
Yeah.
Does my team trust me?
And when
Or
a leader
am
doubts
I being
themselves,
am I being empathetic enough?
yeah. And when a leader doubts themselves, when a leader is with this mess of thoughts, full of self-doubt, feeling like they're not good enough as a leader, what is the impact on the team?
Well, the impact is that absolutely the leader, we have to understand the leader is the primary responsibility of the leader is to provide direction, like the North Star for the team, right? Like align the team towards one goal and be really clear about how we get there. And then also the second very important part of the leadership responsibilities is supporting the team. So when the leader is not clear, they have such a mess of thoughts in their head, they are doubtful which direction to take, which decisions to make. Of course, the team feels that, and they also feel lost.
Yeah.
They feel unsupported.
Wow. And then what important experience is that, and what important work you're doing, just supporting those leaders getting clarity for themselves so that they can bring that clarity for others. Now, Zarina, I'm curious about, so we're going to take a hard left here because I'd love to understand. You mentioned that you grew to leadership quite quickly. So your own journey to leadership was rapid. And first of all, what helped you from your experience fine-tune your leadership? And second question is, what made you step into coaching?
Yeah. Thank you, Leo, for this question. Yes, I was fortunate to build a successful career in human resources, right, within a global multinational company. And I grew from a staffing specialist to an HR manager and then to HR director, HR executive in just under 8 years, which is a rapid growth. And then we moved to Canada 5.5 years ago, and I still continue working in HR, but more so right now, my focus is on leadership development and how coaching can support that. So thinking about my coaching journey and how it started, I can say it in like 3 pieces. The first piece is that I was, throughout my career, I was constantly receiving feedback from my peers, from my managers, from my clients and corporate clients, colleagues and supervisors about my natural ability to listen to people and to demonstrate deep empathy. So that was what I was receiving. And I understood that these abilities, they are an inherent part of who I am. the second piece is that the second piece of my coaching story is that for many years already, I've been fascinated by neuroscience, by the science of how our brain works and what potential it holds. And a few years ago, I was fortunate to experience the power of coaching on myself. And that feeling of empowerment, that feeling of freedom, that feeling of choice, being able to choose my actions despite the circumstances in my life, to choose my actions and reactions, that was a moment, an unforgettable moment for me. So, and then three pieces came together. So my abilities, my natural abilities of listening and empathy, my interest in the human brain science and how it works and the science of human behavior, and the piece of coaching, right, as a profession, they all kind of like a puzzle, they all came together and clicked. And it became evident for me that coaching was not only the profession that perfectly matched my, that perfectly matched my skills and desires and encompassed and integrated everything that I love, but it was my true ikigai, the happy place, the perfect combination of what I love, I'm good at, of what serves the world and what's needed for the community.
Wow,
That's my story.
that is so inspiring. And I'm curious, what is a coaching session maybe that you remember most that you've received?
Yeah, it was the most memorable one was when I was talking about, I brought some challenge, right, to my coach, and we were discovering, and then my coach started questioning my assumptions. So I have a very strong inner critics in my head. I am very, I know the imposter syndrome, and I have very strong negative self-talk. I used to have it. So my coach started questioning my assumptions and saying, how true is that? What evidence do you have for this negative self-talk?
Yeah.
And this was the moment when I started recognizing that this is just a thought of mine. I don't have the evidence to prove it. And we then generated with my coach a different thought that I could use that would empower me. So through that, I realized that, oh my gosh, I do have a choice. I can pick and choose my thoughts if I see them, if I recognize and identify them. And that power of choice was really transformational for me. I have it, like I still remember that moment. And this is what I try to convey to my clients in the coaching. When leaders doubt themselves, when they tell me about their thoughts of, oh, I'm not good enough, I don't have the leadership training, I don't have these abilities, my team doesn't trust me, or I have a conflict, like so many things, I try to show them through coaching. We first of all, we untangle different thoughts so that they can clearly see, okay, this is one thought that's really disempowering, but there's another one, and we have evidence for an empowering thought. And then I try to show them that they have a choice, that they're always a choice of how to react despite the circumstances.
That is so incredible, because when an individual feels a choice, they feel like they can also choose and create their thought.
Yes.
And that is no longer feeling trapped, no longer feeling not good enough, no longer feeling like they're victims of circumstances. And I know leaders generally don't feel like they're victims, right? But
Yeah.
something that you said, even from my practice, what I noticed is that almost 90, a big in the 90% a number of leaders, they have a very strong inner critic and a very strong sense, an imposter syndrome, right? A sense that they're an imposter, that they don't belong, that they're going to be found out, right?
Yeah.
One more thing and one more person, and they're going to be found out that they don't belong there. And so I'm curious, how do you help your clients who walk through your door, who, sit in front of the other side of the computer or the table? What are some, let's say, 3 steps or 3 things or a couple of things that you do or you help them with so that they can start seeing that they are not the thoughts, they are not that inner critic? What are some, maybe some secrets that you have?
Yes. Well, first of all, I want to mention that, as you said, leaders typically don't feel like they're a victim of the
Right.
circumstances, but it shows in their behavior,
Oh,
right?
wow. Uh-huh.
It
What do
shows
you see?
in, yeah, so I see that, and the team may see that they are being defensive, for example. They don't take feedback well, right? And that to me is a sign that they have some kind of fear or self-doubt. So
Mm-hmm.
when they come to me and we start coaching,
Yeah.
um, the first, you ask for 3 steps. So the first step is really for me to help them to reflect on their actions, behaviors, and what impacts their actions create on the team or on themselves or on the organization, to create this safe space for them so that they can talk and reflect
Mm-hmm.
and voice their fears. So it does take some time for them to really admit that, yes, they have some self-doubt, that, yes, these are some of the thoughts that they're struggling. Because, typically in a work environment, they don't show it, right? They have to be strong leaders.
Mm-hmm.
But in that session, when we work with them, they can allow themselves to be who they are, just
Wow.
human beings with same, with the feelings, with emotions, with some fears. So this is the first step to really be able to open up and acknowledge that, yes, this is something that's happening to me.
Mm.
And then once they do that, then we can start untangling the different thoughts.
Yeah.
And yeah, what is this one, what is that one, and what's the impact of that on the leader, and how, and trying to then paint a picture of what kind of a leader they want to be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? So what is it that they want to bring to the team? So shifting their mindset,
Yeah.
right, from the negative to the positive.
Mm-hmm.
And the third step, I'd say, is absolutely about practicing these new behaviors,
Yeah.
or something new that they want to bring to their work life and even personal life, right? But to practice, to put it into action. So
Yeah.
whatever realizations, whatever insights they have in the session, then they put it into action. And I, as a coach, I absolutely champion them. I believe in them, and I hold them accountable as well.
Yeah. 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 Absolutely. You said something about championing leaders, and people might say, well, but they're championed all the time. Maybe that's not the best approach. Why should we, as coaches, why should professional coaches champion leaders?
Exactly, because they are also human beings,
Mm.
and they are not immune to fears, doubt, uncertainty, pressure, anxiety. No, they're not immune. So I was a leader myself, and I see right now in my clients and in my leaders that I see human beings in them.
Yeah.
So they are not the title. There is the
Mm-hmm.
human being behind that title. And
Wow.
we all have the same needs of feeling seen, heard, and understood.
Yeah. Titles, talking about titles. Yeah. We live in a world where uncertainty is all time high. Transitions are happening more often than ever before. What would you advise, let's say, leaders who are transitioning from titles, who are afraid or terrified of changing their lives because of that, deeply uh, rooted identification with their titles? Where should they even begin changing their lives?
Yeah. So, and let me clarify the question. When they change the titles, when they're growing up, or they are just changing the
So,
title as a
so
leader?
growing up, probably that's an easy one, right?
Yeah.
Because that's just it follows the titles, bigger the titles.
Yeah.
But what if there's no more title? What then?
Yeah. So what then? Yes, people are concerned about that because we always want to know what's going to happen, and we want to stay in control.
Mm-hmm.
So my advice there for such leaders would be to reframe that story
Mm-hmm.
and to look at it from the perspective of, wow, this is an opportunity for me to really look inside myself and find something that I really love doing, that I'm passionate about. So it's really about, like, you are not the title, right? We have to be clear. We
Yeah.
are not the titles that we carry. We carry many roles in our lives,
Right.
but who are we as human beings? What do we like? What do we not like? What we can't tolerate? What is it that we want?
Mm-hmm.
What is it that we dream about? So my advice for the leaders would be to really look for something that would fulfill them, for something that would impress their soul, I want to say, right? And fill their heart with joy.
Yeah, I love that so much. And you said something so interesting. You said about control, right? Because title equals control. Yeah,
Yeah.
interesting. So why are we obsessed with being in control?
Well, this is, from my understanding, we are obsessed really with being in control and having everything under our control because this is the way we feel safe,
Mm,
right? It goes back to our brain and how our brain functions.
mm-hmm.
We are, if we go back like thousands of years, right, to the tribal times, um, when we were in control as much as possible, we would not be eaten by a tiger, let's say, right?
Mm,
But right now, we don't have such dangers in our lives, but we still like to be in control because this is how we feel safe. We feel
mm-hmm.
like nothing endangers us, like nothing threatens us.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's why we all, like, it's a natural tendency of a human being to
right.
be in
To
control.
want to be in
We
control.
want to be in control. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because it's almost like we're fooling ourselves, so we don't have much control, right?
No,
Yeah.
we don't. Yeah.
Yeah, and speaking of, probably we also want to control other people's perspectives, other people's opinions. It's so interesting how trust is not talked about as much as control, isn't it?
Yes. Although recently, recently, like in the last several years, trust has surfaced more and more in the
Mhm.
corporate setting.
Right.
And in terms of psychological safety and trust for
Yeah.
the team
Hmm.
and the leader, yes. But the control, definitely the control theme is a leadership theme, right?
Yeah.
And probably it also stems from our history that for many years, the command and control style of leadership was the
Mhm.
dominant one in our
Right.
corporate environments, which is now changing.
Hmm. Wow. So with the changing of the narrative of the leadership in general, leaders need to go through a massive change as well, because in turn, them changing, they change the working environment and everything changes.
Absolutely, yes. And
Wow.
and it's difficult, right, for the leaders. It's a challenge for them. It's always difficult to change the habitual ways of how we are and how we do things.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we must acknowledge that leaders are also being very courageous when they undertake this change from command and control style to more of a servant leader style or empathetic leader. There are many different names for that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this is challenging for them. And kudos to them for really taking this on and trying their best to change.
Wow. I love that so much because there's a lot of criticism, to be honest, out there. Leaders are not doing this, leaders are not doing that, they're not doing this, they're not saying this, which I understand. Yes, you assume the responsibility. When you do assume the responsibility comes with a lot. But what I love about your perspective is that you bring that genuine compassion and empathy towards leaders as human beings. And to be honest, Zarina, that's very refreshing because there's been a lot of beating that leaders are taking up lately.
Yeah, and absolutely. And this is why I see right now the trend that coaching is really there to support leaders.
Yeah.
It's one of the tools that corporations introduce more and more, as we see, for leaders to be able to access, to help them, navigate this change of leadership style. But also, there is so much change right now, rapid change in the world. There is so much uncertainty, and leaders are the ones who carry this on their shoulders.
Yeah.
Right? And they are like between the senior leadership and also between their team. So they have double pressure on them.
Yeah, so true. So true. And I love your perspective because it truly goes, it feels like 5 layers deep. It doesn't stay on the surface in the cliches of what a leadership coach should say. And I love how deep you go. And with that, I'm just curious, Zarina, if we were to just step out a little bit about leadership coaching and step into you as a coach, um, what is maybe a light bulb moment that you had, a personal light bulb moment, an insight maybe that maybe changed the trajectory of your life?
Yeah, that's a wonderful question. I think so that insight, the light bulb moment, was when I was being coached myself. So when I was experiencing coaching, I realized that we are the masters of our own life. And yes, it's a very cliche phrase to say, but once you really understand it, once you really experience that, you feel so powerful and so free. So that insight, that light bulb moment for me was to really, on a very to internalize, let's say, right? To really understand that we hold the power within ourselves, and this power lies in the mindset.
Yeah. But Zarina, so many people say that, but
Yeah.
like from saying and feeling, why so many people, because anybody would understand that, right?
Yeah.
So why is this? Many people say, Leo, yes, I know my head understands, but I still don't feel it. What is that little bridge? Like, what is a bridge that maybe you felt with that light bulb moment?
Yeah. And as you ask the question, the phrase pops in my the phrase pops in my head. This bridge for me is yes, I can. And what I mean by that is when people just understand that mindset is king and it's important, when a challenge happens, they still tend to go into their defensive mode and say, no, I don't want this, or it's scary, or I'm not up to the challenge. But when you really understand that, when you really have that internal feeling that, yes, mindset is the king, and yes, all power lies within me, whatever challenge comes, the answer from within you is, yes, I can do it. Yes, there is a way. So that for me is the bridge.
So it's almost like the context of your entire being changes.
Yes, absolutely.
So I'm curious. So you say now, so after coaching, what was for you was that, yes, I can, versus what used to be before coaching?
Before coaching, it was more so maybe, let's see, I was always, I'm an optimist. So I was always a high achiever. I was always a person, as my manager once characterized me. They said, oh, she is a will do person. So whatever task you give her, even if she doesn't know, she'll find a way to do it, to perform the task and to deliver on the task. So, but still, with all of that and the optimism and my self-belief and my confidence, I still had moments when I was wondering, well, maybe this is not up to me. Maybe this is too big of a challenge. Maybe this is too big of a task. Or, my fear voices would come up and say, well, you're really not good at that, or, something like this. But after that moment, it's always a yes, I can, or yes, let's see what the possibility is. But it's always an opening, a yes answer.
Yeah, that's so interesting. And you're a professional coach. You really created massive impact with your clients in organizations. And you know, as a professional coach, let's face it, this is a new profession. We have a certain set of challenges as well. What is maybe a challenge that you faced as a coach? Is it that people don't really get what coaching is, or like just curious now as a professional coach, what would you say a challenge or a few challenges that you're facing?
Yeah. So the challenge is that a few of them. The first one, of course, and it's very common, I know, amongst coaches, is a misconception that the coach is an all-knowing expert
Mm-hmm.
who provides all the answers and solutions to you. So this is a very common misconception about coaching. And of course, this is not the case. And coaching is not about giving advice. We all know, I think now, it's not about giving advice. And as a coach, I don't have to know all the answers. I don't have to be a professional in every field. This is not possible for anyone, right? But as a coach, my role is to be there with you, to ask questions, to be curious, to really listen, to hold the space for the person, and to help them reflect, think, and come to their own solutions.
Yeah.
So that's the one challenge. Another one, which I really find interesting, is that many of the clients, they tend to think that coaching is a quick fix, is a
Mm-hmm.
shortcut, right, to success. They truly believe when they come to a coaching session that, okay, one coaching session, and then we have all the answers. But again, unfortunately, this is not the case, because true transformation and to receive truly meaningful results, it takes time and effort.
Yeah.
So I'm explaining to my clients that coaching is a journey, and it really requires your self-commitment, self-reflection, and willingness to take action, willingness to take different action that you're used to
Yeah.
risk it.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
know, it's I love how you're saying that people come you know, certain people would have expectations that things should be fixed in 1 2 sessions. And where is this expectation coming from? We don't have expectations that we would, let's say, overcome a health challenge in one with one pill. We would
Yeah.
overcome, let's say, financial struggles with one transaction. So in your perspective, where is this expectation come from?
I think the expectation comes from the fact that when a person comes to a coach, again, they regard that coach as an all-knowing expert in everything. And so they expect, okay, maybe not being given an advice, but still to fix something very quickly. And
Mhm.
I also believe that people don't, typically, we don't think about coaching as a tool for us to change or transform.
Mhm.
Again, this goes back to the first misconception that it's an advice, and I've come to you as an expert, and you can ask me questions all you want, but then at the end, I expect to have the result. So maybe there is something more there, but this expectation I've seen a lot, and I'm still seeing with many clients. And only when we talk about this journey, only when we talk about, that, and I bring them the metaphors, I bring them some of the comparisons that, when you have a health problem, as you said, it takes time, right? And then people accept it. It's not that they resist it, they accept it. It's just that they're not aware, I guess,
Right,
that this change will also take time.
right. I love the fact that, you know, there's much education that needs to happen, and it sounds like you do a lot of it. And also, I guess the expectation of having a quick fix, is it that the media is portraying that? Is it that Is it that we just don't know? What would you say is the biggest let's say, not antidote, but the things that really confuses people about coaching?
It's that people don't understand what coaching is.
Right.
And
Right.
and to that point, Leo, it's really hard to explain with the words. I
Yeah.
truly believe that you have to experience the coaching to be able to understand it.
Yeah.
So everything that the media says, whatever articles are written about coaching, these are not equal to experiencing coaching.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, where this comes from, right? People really, truly, unless they've experienced the power of coaching, they don't understand what it is. They may understand in their head, they may, say the right words describing coaching, but they haven't experienced the power of coaching. So I think this is where it comes from, the quick
Yeah.
fix. And
I love that so much because it's have an experience. So if you're watching, have an experience with a coach. Don't try to rationalize it. Don't try to think about it, because just go and experience. Go and experience. I love that so much. Um, Zarina, as we're closing towards the end of the interview, I have a couple more questions. And I feel like we could go on for hours. It's just love your perspectives. What is maybe a question that you've never been asked and you would like to be asked as a professional coach?
oh, Leo, this is a, a very good question. What I have not been asked. I think it's a question whether the leadership coaching, right? If we talk about leadership coaching, whether the leadership coaching is going to have an impact on other areas of people's lives. So let's say when a leader comes to me for some coaching and they expect to resolve a challenge that they face in their leadership journey, how will that coaching impact other areas of their lives?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think people realize that. But through coaching, through coaching, in coaching, we work with leaders on enhancing their communication skills, bringing more empathy, regaining their confidence, so combating the negative self-talk that they have, the inner critics. So through that, when a leader becomes aware of their thoughts, of the choice that they have, when the leader improves as a result their communication, when they increase ultimately their self-awareness, they understand better who they are as a person. Of course, all of that leads to immense changes, positive changes in the other areas of their lives, like in the personal life, in their relationships with their children,
Yeah.
in they have better work-life balance.
Yeah.
So these are immense benefits of coaching overall.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I love that because, you said something very cool in the beginning of interview, is that when we come to work, we don't bring our heads alone or,
Yeah.
oh, I'm just going to take this 25% of my brain that is the executive personality. No, 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 no. We have layers and layers, and with coaching is just go for it, because all of your aspects of life will improve. And sometimes, once you agree, when people come to coaching, they have no idea what actually is the real struggle and the real challenge. They might have, let's say, the side effects of the real challenge that they're coming for, but then as they go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, they truly uncover what is there that holds them back, maybe in all areas of life.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what they say, Leo? I like this metaphor that we are too close to our thoughts. It's like I
Mm.
always imagine a bottle, a bottle,
Yeah.
and it's like we are in this bottle with our thoughts and we don't see the label. So that external opinion of a coach,
Yeah.
it brings so much value to the person. The
Mm.
person becomes more aware of their strengths and talents and abilities and the choice. So this is how you can coach a person on one issue or challenge that they face, but ultimately you coach the person, not the issue, right? So you coach that person.
That's right. That's right. It's so powerful. And with a powerful coach, just like you, Zarina, they will be able to read the labels, like what is it that what is this label that I have? And also ultimately, do I want to change the shape of the bottle? Do I want to be in the bottle?
Yeah.
Do I even need a bottle? Do I want to live in a jar, maybe in an open dish? Maybe I want to create from there and really have a choice, which is very powerful. I love that. I love that, Zarina. And you know, I know that your journey is just starting as a coach, and I know that you bring so much from your HR experience. So let's say if you were to say from all your life experience, all your professional work and impact that you've done, what is one message that you have for the people? If you say, okay, if there was a line that I want to leave behind as my legacy that will have most impact on the world, what would it be?
So that would be the line that again, I'm going to use the metaphor. I would say that you hold the pen to write your story.
Mm-hmm.
No shortcuts, just your choices.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is I really want people to understand that no one can change them, no one can make decisions for them. It doesn't work this way. So, in my opinion, it's better for us to stop looking for the shortcuts and really look inside ourselves so that we can write our own story, meaning that we can create our lives as we want them to be. Despite the different circumstances, we still can choose our reactions, we still can choose how we want our story to unfold and how we want to be in this world.
Yeah,
So,
Zarina, what about I want to change. I want, I want somebody to take the wheel.
well, this is not how life works, unfortunately. Because imagine we have friends, right, who give us advice from the best of their intentions. We have parents and partners and everyone who we so want to help people. And we receive advice from so many people. But if we ask ourselves, and I encourage the audience to ask themselves, how much of this advice are you really taking in? And how much is it influencing your decision? Advice, they are great that our friends and relatives and whoever give us, but ultimately it's like with a dress. It's if the dress is the wrong size for me, even if it's a beautiful dress, a beautiful advice, I'm not going to wear it, for example, right? So this is the message. I really want to empower everyone to just take the wheel and take the wheel in their own in their hands and start driving and start paving the road towards the life that you really want for yourself, because we all have just one life. It's just one life.
Wow. Wow. I just love that. And on this note, I think we can close the interview. And thank you for the deeply thoughtful perspectives on leadership. Honestly, I'm living enriched with also inspired the way how you see truly see leaders as human beings and pointing out that important connection between the trust of the team with the leader and leader with the team. It's a two-way street, and also um, encouraging people to champion leaders as well, because indeed there's much talk and there's much criticism, but your empathy just shine through and through the entire interview. And anybody who wants to connect with Zarina, whatever you're watching this, you will find her LinkedIn and other places where you connect with her directly. Zarina, thank you so much. It has been such a really eye-opening interview. Thank you so much, and I really hope we can do it again.
Thank you, Leah, for having me. It was really for me an incredible experience sharing insights with you about leadership coaching and coaching in general. I truly appreciate this opportunity, and I'm looking forward to connecting again soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
This recording was offered to you by Coach, a global community for coaching mastery.